So, in the handout you have a brief bio of each of the candidates so you know who they are. And I'd like to introduce, and you know who they are, and hold your applause till we introduce both of them. Billy Kenoi, the current mayor of Hawaii County, has been mayor for 4 years. And we have Harry Kim, who was the mayor for 8 years before that. Let's welcome our mayor candidates.
Aloha. Thank you. Thank you.
Our first question is a 3-minute question, and it's going to former Mayor Harry Kim first. Mayor Kim, you have said, and most recently in my presence at the University of Hawaii at Hilo Forum just 10 days ago, that you are disappointed in the way Hawaii County government is running. So please give us specifics on what you want to see done differently from the way it's done now. 3 minutes.
I think all of us here have visions of government and what government role should be. I'm going to read something. I know it's not very polite, but for once I've made brochures, handouts, and I'll explain why I did this. But it states, my goal has always been to have people trust their government and believe that government will be that their government will be fair and do what is right by law and a sense of what is right. I support a system and style of government that invites participation and is open in its decision making. People should be given the opportunity to determine the kind of government and lifestyle they want, and government should work to make this possible. I know those are just words, but those were my guiding principles as far as the role of government. A couple of things that did happen in this past summer that was the tipping point as far as running for mayor. Number one, and I've told the governor this in regards to disagreement of some of the things that pushed him past. And one of them was in regards to geothermal. But it was not the geothermal issue. It was in regards to people's right to participate in the government. What they did in a sweep of a pen, our legislature and the governor, took away 100% of the local control. I felt that was so very wrong in what they were doing. This is your community, and people from outside the state government, yes, they have their role, but not in the sense of what should happen to your community. The second point in regards to what happened was again related to the community development plan. It relates directly to what I read. In my first term, you realize that you are doing what you can to make people feel good about their government. And it was so very important that I really believe that we should make people feel proud and good of their government, for their government that represents them. Idea came forth in regards to how do we change our government to make government more responsive to you, the people that live in this state. We knew constitutional change was out of the question. An idea came in regards to the community development plan. The whole basis of the community development plan, which I know there are people in this room that took part in it, because we started in regards to Kona. Kona itself had over 200 individual meetings involving hundreds, if not thousands of people in those 200 meetings to develop your plan. What is the basis of that plan? To make you feel a part of your government. I think some of you know that the state of Hawaii is perhaps the only state in the 50 states that does not have any government jurisdiction in regards to below the county government. You just have state, county, and that's it. This community development plan, by law, was to change the paradigm of how government works with you and for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Kim. Mayor Kenoi, we're going to give you an opportunity to comment for 2 minutes, but please be aware for both of you, we're going to ask, based on this and based on what everything the citizens have asked, we're going to ask more extensive questions about geothermal development and about community development plans. Mayor Kenoi, 2 minutes for your comments, if you have.
Well, we're very proud of how our government, your government, has addressed the needs here in West Hawaii. When we talk about West Hawaii, we talk about equity, we talk about fairness, we talk about balance. The Community Development Plan set out some priorities here in West Hawaii. The goal of the Community Development Plans was to bring community closer to government. And that's why, in our administration, we moved half our cabinet to West Hawaii to have our leaders in government from West Hawaii for the first time ever. I committed myself as mayor to be in West Hawaii every single week for the last 4 years. We moved the first executive assistant position from Kona to Hilo, the first director of housing from West Hawaii, Mr. Steve Arnett, the first director of Parks and Recreation from West Hawaii, Mr. Bob Fitzgerald, the first R&D Director from West Hawaii, Ms. Laverne Omori. First Deputy Director of Planning, Ms. Margaret Masunaga. And what we did was bring a voice to the community here in West Hawaii. When they said we needed roads, our administration built the first connector road here in West Hawaii by the county since statehood, here in the Kealakehe Highway. When they talked about expansion of housing, we built the 1.77 million West Hawaii Emergency Shelter, 12.4 million Kaloko Transitional Shelter on Hinalani, and began the development of the model homes at Kamakua Nui for affordable home ownership. When we talk about connecting government to community, we didn't run government from one office in Hilo or in Kona. We took our entire cabinet into 50 community meetings. We've had cabinet meetings in Holualoa and Honaunau. We've had cabinet meetings in Na'alehu, Ocean View, and Pahala. That's taking the community to the people. That's honoring the goals and intent of the community development plan. We funded the Honokahau Transient-Oriented Design Project right here in West Hawaii. And if you look at this beautiful Kealakehe Highway, you'll see TOD designs mandated by the Community Development Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Kim, you can have an additional minute if you'd like. 1 minute.
The brochures that is going to be made available for you tonight, the first group that is made available, will identify a lot of the projects that was developed during our term of the 8 years. And the reason it was done was strictly because so much information was going out there, what we did, but mainly what we didn't do. Mm-hmm. I think the tipping point in regards to irritating some people was when a flyer came out in regards to one of the political action groups stated that things are done by action, not by just hoping it's done. Obviously, insinuation that we just hope things are done. In regards to the things that he mentioned, the paper itself will tell you what is right and what is wrong. That was not the first connector road. I think those of you from Kona know that the connector road connecting the school in the Mauka area was the first connector road. In regards to what he just stated, I will state this. Every single project as far as roads that was built was started under our administration.
Mayor Kenoi, do you another minute? Please, if you remember, we're holding our applause or boos until the conclusion of the forum to be polite and respectful to all candidates. 1 minute.
This Kealakehe Highway was a project that was merely a line on a piece of paper. It was funded entirely by the American Recovery Reinvestment Act, or ARA, stimulus funds, the largest economic stimulus project funded in the entire state of Hawaii. This entire 1.8-mile connector road from Palani to Kealakehe was designed, engineered, and built during our 4 years. We worked with the Burial Council. We worked with Fish and Wildlife. We worked with our Kealakehe community, and we saved enough money on the first 1.8 miles between Palani and Kealakehe to build and pave from Kealakehe to Hinalani, entirely within budget and on time. That was a project that we had to move from scratch. The Federal Highways Division came to Hawaii Island and said that was the most ambitious project they've seen a county undertake. I didn't say it was a connector road. It was a county-built road of 1.8 miles plus 1.1 miles for a total of 2.9 miles. And that was a project built entirely in our administration and spearheaded by our team.
Thank you. I'd like to go right now to the community development plans. And I'd like to start with you, Mayor Kenoi. The community development plans were made law when Mayor Kim was in office. I'd like you to talk 2 minutes about the role you feel the community development plans should play and how the county is currently supporting them, because pretty clearly Mayor Kim feels they're not being supportive. So you tell us in 2 minutes what the status is.
Well, we've started our own community development plans. Not all community development plans were started in a previous administration. In the last 4 years, we fully started and funded the Hamakua Community Development Plan. And in the toughest economic crisis that this county faced for 4 years, we fully funded it at $411,000. When Ka'u raised their hand and said, we need a community development plan, our administration said, sure, Ka'u. And in a tough economic environment, we'll find you that $411,000 so you too can do community development plans. We have action and steering committees in Kona, in Puna, South Kohala, North Kohala, Hamakua, and Ka'u, as well as Puna. Those are a lot of community development plans. We support the intent. When we saw projects that could be priorities, that could be implemented, not just more planning, but actual projects that get built and get completed on time and on budget, That was our commitment. It would have been nice to have more resources, but of course, when we took office 4 years ago, as we all well know, it was a challenging economic time. And so what we needed to do is reduce the size and cost of government. When we took office, the cost of county government was $403 million. We cut that to $387, to $376, $367, to now a budget that we have of $365 million. We now even collect less property taxes. When I took office, the County of Hawaii collected $225 million in property taxes from all of you, our taxpayers. Today, we collect $207 million in property taxes. We've also cut over 200 vacant funded positions to reduce the cost and burden upon all of our taxpayers. So when we say honoring community development plans, it's not just honoring documents. It's embracing a community, listening to their concerns, making government available, but not just listening, but actually doing. And we're very proud of the fact that with less, we were able to accomplish much more.
Thank you. Mayor Kim, obviously you feel that the current administration is not supporting the community development plans as you'd like to see them supported. So if you become mayor, what specifically would you do differently? 2 minutes, please.
To make the community development plan work, you have to understand the whole principle of which it is established. It is not just to establish priorities. I know there are people in this room, several from what I can see, that was involved in the plan development for Kona. We started off with Kona because Kona was an area of greatest need, because you were the area of greatest growth in regards to a certain period. And the infrastructure short as well as services short was well known. I think some of you may have been in the meeting that we had here in Kona saying that you order first and the importance of this plan. This is not enough time to explain fully what the community plan does, but it does not just say these are the priorities that we as a community want you to implement. This is the whole process of how government works with you. This is a process of how you work with government. It will take staff training. It will take staff mentality training in regards to the role of government with you. It is way past time. We get away from this mentality of a few on top to the mass below. And this community development plan process, the whole principle behind it, is to have you, the community, have a good part, a big part, and an integral part in regards to what happens to your community.
Mayor Kim, I'm going to give you 1 more minute. If you clearly a lot of the issue relative to any community development plan, and we've got now they're all over the island. A big issue is budget, and so take 1 minute and tell us how you would modify the budget. What kind of additional monies would you think need to be put toward the community development plans to accomplish what you think needs to be accomplished? 1 minute, please.
I think 3 plans have already been passed by council action, meaning it's by law. To make it work, the number one, you have to get government workers, and that includes political people as well, maybe especially them, but all government workers to understand this plan, because they will have to be trained. And yes, training does cost some money, but we're not talking about huge amounts of money. But government workers on all levels have to be trained in what this plan does, because the whole paradigm of the role of government has to change. And that paradigm is that this government is of the people. As cliche as it may sound, it's all of the people and by the people. Read the government plan principles, and it states of how government shall work with you, the community. And what for? To make you feel important in regards to the role of government, to make you feel part of it, and above all, for you to have a definite say in the future of your home.
Thank you. Mayor Kenoi, 1 more minute. Is this a budget issue? Tell us anything more. 1 minute only on community development plans.
No, we embrace community development plans because community development plans are the meaningful input and conversations and visions and goals and philosophies of our residents in our communities. If we weren't in support of CDP, we would have used the budget as an excuse not to have funded CDPs, but we believe it's important. Every community deserves it. That's why we fully funded Hamakua and we fully started Ka'u. Now, this sense that government is somehow not connected to the people is, we're connected to the people as much as we possibly can be. 4 years ago, people were talking about 2 different counties because people in West Hawaii didn't feel their government was nearby. Their government responded, their government listened, their government was present. Today, I just passed Kahua Ranch on the way to Kohala, 83,000 miles in the last 2 years. And that's to connect communities. Now, today in West Hawaii, you pick up the phone, you will talk to your cabinet, your county administration, and they'll be here to honor you and represent you.
Thank you. Mayor Kenoi, we're going to turn to you again. It's a 2-minute question. We're turning to the concept of budget. Mm-hmm. We have an operating budget in this county, $365 million. You have been criticized for deferring the deposits into the GASB 45 fund for 2 years at something around $16 to $20 million a year. The GASB fund is to cover projected increases in health care costs at some future time. I know that we're funding our immediate pension and health care costs with no problem. But what is your plan to start funding the GASB 45 fund in the future? Will it be in the next budget? If not, when and where are you going to find these funds? 2 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. As you know, all of us, we could not impose any further burden on our working families, our businesses, and our communities that create jobs. So we said we're not going to impose any burden. We're just going to reduce the size and reduce the cost of government. Now, this General Accounting Services Board, or GASB 45, is not a bill that the county is mandated to pay. It's not correct. We currently pay $27 million for every employee and retiree's health care. $27 million out of a $365 million budget. We also set aside $22 million for retirees. That's $49 million. Now, what GASB 45 is an accounting mechanism by which they said, State of Hawaii, you need to account for this because people are living longer and healthcare costs are rising exponentially. So you need to budget for that, account for that in the future. But we pay every bill that we have to make. The county's excellent credit rating has been affirmed by all of our bond rating agencies. The County of Hawaii has $61 million in its GASB account, more than any other county in that GASB account. City and County of Honolulu hasn't paid it more years than us. The State of Hawaii never made its payment into GASB. We made our payment all 4 years, starting in 2008. And we said, we cannot impose this burden further on others. Our healthcare costs are being met. Our retirement costs are being met, and we cannot make an accounting mechanism a priority over public safety, over parks and recreation, over services and programs provided to our residents. So we checked with our bond rating agencies, we checked with our actuaries, checked with the best financial minds we could, and we said, the county in Hawaii defers our GASB for 2 years. Are we going to be okay? And everybody resoundingly said yes. And that's why our credit rating was just affirmed this past June. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Kim, you have said in the past you would not criticize the existing county budget, but if you're elected mayor, it becomes your budget on December 1st. Now, the complete budget is online, so we assume that you have reviewed it. There are provisions to change the budget, so if you become mayor, you could change the budget. How would you change the budget for this year if elected? And what would you foresee for the future Hawaii County budget? 2 minutes, please.
I don't think the budget should be changed. It's a budget amendment. We did that once when I was mayor, and the reason we did that because the revenues fell short of anticipated revenues, so naturally we had to amend the budget because by law you have to have a balanced budget. But in this particular case, to disagree with this administration or any administration on how the funds should be spent, approved by the council, I do not think it is proper. And I would not do that in a mid-year, and that's what it would be. But for the following year, I really believe that the GASB sounds like I always used to say a military weapon or something, GASB 45. But we started payment on that, and the first year it was implemented. And basically, I'll try to simplify it so I can understand it. All it is, if you buy a house, you have to list as liability. So what is your liability? The total value of what you own on a house instead of just your monthly payment. And basically, that's what GASB said. You have to list your total liability. And they made that to be a recommended policy, not a mandatory policy, in regards to listing it as liability from the year, I think, 2005. We were the first government to implement it, the only government to implement it in full. I think my memory recollects right. We contributed $23 million the first year and $25 million the second year. And it was carried on in the third year. I believe this liability is important enough to list. I think it is important enough so we do not accumulate future debt in regards to our payments. This is a payments that will be identified for us. I think we should list it, whether we pay it in part or in whole. But we must identify it as priority.
Thank you. Mayor Kenoi, 1 minute additional. Anything on budget?
Well, with regards to GASB, it actually started, with all due respect to Harry, it started in 2008. That was the first year that GASB payments were required. It started in 2008, and the first payment was made, and we made the successive payments because we know we wanted to keep our credit rating high. And we've made the right decisions. The county council had every opportunity to amend that budget, and instead it passed 8-1. It's one thing to talk about increasing revenue or increasing costs, but anytime you do that, you've got to take it from somewhere else. And who pays for that? And right now, when we submitted that budget, we protected all of our services. We maintained funding, didn't cut a dime to any senior programs, nothing. We protected our children's programs, and we protected all of our funding to the nonprofits and the most vulnerable in the community. So we felt it was a very strategic decision. Would have been nice to pay. Certainly, if we could have, we would have. And we did in the past, but not at the cost of programs.
Thank you. Mayor Kim, 1 minute more on budget. Anything to add?
You know, I promised myself long time ago, and I do mean long time ago, 2000, when I first entered, that I would not be a party to political back and forth. And I really tried, and I'm trying now. But the statement made by Mayor Kenoi is so blatantly wrong. GASB started in the year 2006. We made the payment, and look at the records, 23 million, round numbers, 25 million, round numbers. Matter of fact, we knew it was coming forth, so we set aside before it came out about $4 million, for the next year. And I think it was 2005. To prepare for that kind of payment. We knew we were right in the beginning of a good time, and we need to save for the future and plan for the future. But that statement, 2008, is so blatantly wrong. Just look it up.
I have it on a binder for anybody if they want to look at it. But I don't want to get into it. I don't want to fight. But it's in 2008.
Like a dispute in dates, and so obviously there's no point in you guys continuing to do that. I would like to remind the listening audience, you're listening to Lava 105.3 FM, KBGX KAL. I'm Sherry Bracken, and we are in the middle of a candidate forum featuring right now the two candidates for County Mayor, Billy Kenoi and Harry Kim. And that's what we're doing. And we're going to go now to former Mayor Kim. We want to ask you to talk in 2 minutes about your plan to improve the economic stability and vibrancy of Hawaii Island. Your plan to improve the economic stability and vibrancy of Hawaii Island. 2 minutes, please.
I'm glad she didn't say how you're going to solve the problem, because then I would call up the United Nations and say I've got the answer for a world problem. I'm not trying to make light of it. But the difference between this and other hard times, and I see people in the audience who experienced the hard times beginning from the year 1993, before that, 1973, the closing of sugar companies. And I know there are business people in here that really suffered in hard times, and a crash of the tourism. Cap Y 911. I think the most important part of government is to please do not impose penalties, regulations, taxes that makes it difficult for business to get started. The role of government is established to help business, and that includes infrastructures that help you to do anything and everything in regards to how and work with government, business rather, to see what kind of things are a problem where government has caused a problem. And they have in the past and even in the present. We should identify it, work with the business on how we can make it better.
Billy Kenoi, what is your plan to improve the economic stability and vibrancy of Hawaii Island? 2 minutes, please.
We need to continue focusing on our important employment sectors. Clearly, hospitality is our largest employer on island, and that's why our focus was bringing more direct flights into Kona. In the last 4 years, we have direct flights into Kona from Oakland, San Jose, Portland, and Seattle. After the loss of Japan Airlines, which is a loss of 16,000 seats, 1,600 seats a week, over 60,000 seats a year, that we continue to work with Japan Airlines and Hawaiian Airlines that recently announced a return of direct flights into Kona, which provides stability underlying our economy, because it's not just hotels, rental cars, and small businesses, restaurants. It's everybody in the community who benefits. Around agriculture, we now have more jobs in the county of Hawaii in the agricultural sector than since 1994. Our industry continues to struggle. That's why the importance of public works projects. The Kealakehe Highway wasn't just an economic stimulus project. It was a road that provided opportunities. It now opens up Kamakana villages for construction and the largest affordable housing project. On Wednesday, we will bless with the governor the next phase of Laiopua and Department of Hawaiian Homelands right down the street. It also opens up for West Hawaii's Judiciary building right here in Kealakehe. So our investment is to projects not just to create jobs, but investments in projects that created opportunities for more employment. So around agriculture, around hospitality, around construction. And also we have to continue to develop and encourage and incentivize new sectors in our economy. The 30-meter telescope, $1.2 billion, will create a new science technology sector in our community. Palama Nui and the expansion of higher education to West Hawaii provides another critical element in expanding our capacity and improving our economy. The bottom line is, to have a healthy and safe community, our working families have to have access to employment opportunities.
Thank you. I'd like to sort of key off what you said, Mayor Kenoi, which is about tourism, and I'd like to start with you, Mayor Kim. Tourism is pretty clearly our island's biggest industry. So what will your role as mayor be in supporting the visitor industry? You'd be the county's chief executive, and how would you use the office for the greatest good to support our tourism industry? 2 minutes, please.
I think I've met with most of the developers here and most of the developers that wanted to come here. I must say this to you, the guiding principle when I met with every single one of them. Yes, tourism is extremely important to the economy of Hawaii. Yes, it is the responsibility to work with you in regards to how we can make it better. But above all, this is what I tell all of them, and I think you should know that every one of the developers that have come here have told me, I have told them, and I do take a lot of their time. Please help me make this a better place. Make your development, make Hawaii a better place, not just a place to make money. I did not want development here just to have development here. It was crucial, and the community development plan is part of that. It was crucial that all resort development, which make this a better place economically, but must make it a better place for the people who live here also, and not just make this a resort area that will skyrocket the cost of living or price of land or properties beyond the middle class people. In regards to how do we make it, first of all, I am very, very happy that most of, if not all of the developers, I can't think of one that did not agree that it was extremely important that they do that. And we've had people like Kohaneiki. I'm so proud of Kohaneiki in regards to what they changed from a major hotel, condominium, commercial area to 1 acre lots, golf course, and to donate the coastline to the people of this island in regards to make this a place of community. And they did that. And they said it's still making money. Yes, a deviation from what was original plan. And we're trying to do this with all developers, not stand in their way, but make them understand the goal is to make this a better place economically and socially.
Mayor Kim, I'm going to give you one additional minute because I may not have been clear in my question. The question really has to do with the visitor industry and tourism, not so much with development, not with Kohaneiki. So 1 more minute. What specifically are you going to do to help the visitor industry, tourism, which is our #1 industry at this time, not development, please?
I think our role here is to work with all the people of that industry together as a party to see how we can make it better. I'm not an expert in all the small details or even some of the large details in regards to the tourism industry. I do know one thing. Hawaii is a very special place. You go to any place and the magic word of Hawaii, you just say you're from Hawaii and it's a magic word. Then it is our responsibility to understand what makes it a magic place. It is the weather. It is the water. It is the land. It is a lifestyle. And it is important to help this tourist industry to make sure that we as government enhance these things that make Hawaii very special, and to work with the tourist industry to identify those things and get their help to make it better.
Mayor Kenoi, I know that you addressed the tourism visitor industry issue in your previous answer, but I'd like you to take 2 minutes and really be more specific about your role as mayor in supporting the tourism industry, the visitor industry, which is our #1 industry. 2 minutes, please.
Of course, we all know that all of us had an incredibly challenging economic 4 years. It was a global, national, state economic meltdown. It was critically important that we protect our families and our communities by maintaining our employment opportunities. When we lost a cruise ship, the Norwegian Cruise Lines, one of those ships had 5,000 employees, 128,000 annual visitors, 542 million out of the economy. That's what they contributed. We lost 2 cruise ships. It's 10,000 employees, 256,000 visitors, over $1 billion lost from our economy. We had to focus on lift in the industry. As challenging as the time was, we never cut a dollar from our hospitality industry support. And that has resulted in this past year, visitor arrivals are up 8%, visitor expenditures are up 16.8% year over year. $1 billion has come into the community. Alaska Airlines, we built relationships with them. Hawaii Tourism Authority, we welcomed the first U.S.-China Travel Summit. 50 of the top travel planners in the United States, 50 of the top travel planners in China, and brought them to Hawaii Island. And our goal is to position not just Hawaii Island as a visitor destination, but Hawaii Island as a place for them to invest in the Asia-Pacific region to help us design science and technology so our children have a science technology future. We ask them to invest in renewable energy in our community. It's not just to come and visit, but ask them to invest in our community so we can expand our vast array of renewable energy so that we don't have more renewable energy, we have cheaper, more affordable renewable energy. So our tourism sector, our hospitality sector was about growth, was about providing stability, but most of all, it was about protecting our families. And I'm very proud of everybody coming together to make it happen. It was all teamwork, partnerships, and cooperation.
Mayor Kenoi, to be fair, I did give Mayor Kim 1 additional minute. Is there anything you'd like to add in 1 minute? You don't have to.
Just that, we have to continue to diversify our economy. More importantly, we've got to bring our children home. We lose too many of our best and brightest when we send them away for higher education and they don't return home because of a lack of economic opportunity. Clearly, hospitality is but one sector in a broad-based economy that we have for Hawaii Island. But the bottom line is when we have a thriving, vibrant economy, people are working. And when people are working, they can provide a safe opportunity for their children to grow up free from the fear of drugs, gangs, and violence, but with hope filled with opportunity. And that's our goal around investment, around job creation, around any sector in our economy. And it's not the county doing it. It's the county in partnership with state, with federal, private business, community, nonprofits. Dr. Martin Luther King said, we might have come here on different ships, but we're all in the same boat now. And it's going to take us working together.